Welcome to the program. Our sign language interpreter is William Sila. Education Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i is tonight instructing parents not to pay any additional fees to schools other than the amount stipulated in the ministry's school fees guidelines. Parents have been asked to report incidents of any students turned away for not paying higher fees to their respective county directors of education. Matiang'i says boards of management in schools are expected to run schools within the set ceilings, with austerity measures in place to ensure that the cost of education is affordable to all parents in order to achieve access and quality education for all children. The CS added that county education boards must ensure strict compliance with these policy guidelines and should take appropriate action, including revoking the appointment of any board of management in any schools where the guidelines are violated. Education officials have been directed to furnish the ministry with a list of all schools that have flouted the guidelines. Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang, in a circular to the officers dated January 3rd, said county directors of education had until the end of the day today, Monday, to provide the list. The PS acknowledged that some schools had disregarded the guidelines and set their own fees structures and hence were continuing to burden parents with extra levies. Now, the debate rages on over the unlawful way in which most schools heads have decided to bloat school fees this academic year, even as calls by Deputy President William Ruto that no school should charge exorbitant fees appears to have now fallen on deaf ears. And as parents enroll their children to the first day of school, the chairman of the Kenya Secondary School Heads Association is coming out to defend head teachers over the matter. KTN's Timothy Otieno now reports.
It's the first day of school for many children across the country. This even as parents continue to pile pressure on school heads to account for why school fees for most public schools has gone up despite a government regulation that outlines the limit for most school fees.
Kama serikali tumetoa pesa kwa kila mtoto wa shule ambaye anasoma katika shule ya upili. Serikali inatoa shilingi 13,000 kwa kila mtoto kila mwaka.
A statement made by Deputy President William Ruto on Sunday that appears to have yielded no meaningful solution, as parents had to enroll their children to school with the full amount for first term paid. Parents, led by the Kenya National Association of Parents, are insisting that amendments through a gazette notice made to the Basic Education Act requires one not to pay anything more than 9,374 shillings for day school and 53,554 for boarding schools, a regulation that has since been flouted.
We want to assist the government in bringing sanity in the education sector. The way Matatu sector was chaotic, I want to declare to Kenyans that education sector is chaotic.
The chairman of the Kenya Secondary School Heads Association, John Awiti, is coming out to defend his folk, insisting that the gazette notice did not factor in school projects and additional labor that rarely receives enough funding from Treasury.
For day schools, there was a omission on lunch program. And also, as you are aware, most schools don't have enough teachers. So it left out the salaries for the BOM teachers.
According to the 2015 school fee guideline, for there to be any increase in fees outside the set guidelines, then there must be a consultative discussion with the school's board of management. The resolution of that meeting is then communicated to parents through a meeting that should have at least 80% attendance of all parents. After which, school heads must seek authority and consent from the Ministry of Education before they can scale the set school fees upwards.
In case there is an issue of somebody violating this, I would want them to be reminded that fees have not been charged. They have not receipted this. They need to adhere to the law that is in action.
But parents want those words to be actualized, insisting that school heads are straining their budgets at a time when the economy is biting.
Tungeomba kwamba kama serikali wanaweza ingilia kati waone kwamba school fees zinapunguzwa kwa mashule.
Shule itabakia na matajiri watoto wa matajiri ndio wataenda hii mashule. Wa maskini watakaa tu nyumbani.
Nataka serikali ichukue hatua iwe na streamlining ya walimu wote ambao wako kwenye shule ili wajadiliane vizuri, wasinje wakagandamiza wazazi.
The Principal Secretary for Education, Dr. Belio Kipsang, had issued a notice to have all county education directors report the fee structures for schools within their counties by 4 p.m. Monday evening. This, even as the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Fred Matiang'i, on Monday evening released a statement warning that school boards who had approved school fees above the set ceilings would be revoked. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
The Big Q, in association with DSTV. Get a DSTV HD fully installed decoder for only 5,550 shillings.
Day one of school, and that story brings us to a big question discussion. On the big question tonight, we're asking you, should school heads who are flouting school fees guidelines be fired? Tell us what you think. SMS your yes or no opinion plus a brief comment to the number 22155. You can also tweet that to @Ben_Kitili, at KTN News, and at KTN Kenya. Shall be sampling them during this live newscast.
Drop the rest, get the best. This festive season, buy a DSTV HD fully installed decoder for 5,500 shillings to enjoy the best quality family entertainment with various packages to suit your needs from as low as 1,050 shillings.
At the same time, the Kenya National Association of Parents has vowed to move to court in an effort to compel school heads to sign consent orders before the commencement of the Form 1 selection exercise scheduled for the 21st of this month. The association further says that they will be seeking court orders to compel school heads to conduct thorough financial audit of their accounts to ascertain how funds have been used over the last 1 year and why they are overstepping their boundaries when it comes to formulating school fees guidelines.
Our lawyers are working on the document. I can't tell you because you know it's a bulky document. And you know we have to look at to see whether it's a judicial review or whether it's a constitutional petition. We have to look at the law to see which is the most hitting or whether it's a civil case. So mpaka tuangalie we don't want to publicize going to court and then we don't get to achieve what we want. That's why lazima tuangalie which sections of the law are we going to quote. And I was surprised when Matiang'i said, come 21st and I will give guidelines of his. I think they are not in touch with what is happening. They must realize when this Gazette notice was given, it gave the law. It is now a law. And this law is what we want it to be implemented. Nothing more, nothing less. Let them implement this one properly. If anything, we know schools have all the needs, but we must do it in a structured way.
9 months since the deadly terror attack where 148 people, mostly students, were killed at the Garissa University College, the institution has reopened its doors to students. 150 regular students were not transferred from the institution after the attack, or the first to be registered. But as KTN's Moremi Mwangi now tells us, some of the institution's members of staff, including the Dean of Students, have resigned, citing security concerns, which they say have not been addressed despite the construction of a police post inside the institution.
That the pen is mightier than the sword, and that love is a conqueror of all evil, could not have been demonstrated any better. Garissa University College, ground zero of what is still the country's most devastating terror attack, finally opened its doors to the students once more.
The students are safe. And we have done all that we could. We put in a police station, and we're hoping that will be more than enough for Garissa to be safe.
On cue to mark this historic occasion were 150 regular students who declined to transfer from the institution after the attack, and members of staff who heeded the memo that directed them to report back here.
If we give up and we don't bring the teachers, we don't reopen the other institutions that were closed, it means we're giving up to the terrorists.
We worked hard for it to be here. It not just come like that. Don't come on silver plate. People have worked day and night to make sure we get a university. And we don't take away that university, then we're not ready to do that.
But as the institution reopened, one man who had traveled all the way from Saudi Arabia, where he works as a lecturer, was one with a heavy heart. Mr. Al-Bash was a teacher of one of the terrorists involved in the attack, Abdirahim Abdullahi, a grade A University of Nairobi law student whose hand in the attack shocked the nation. And on this day, Mr. Bash had a special message to the country's young people.
I was his high school English teacher, and when I heard the news, it really broke my heart. And I had to seek some counseling because I was traumatized. I couldn't sleep. And I made an effort to come down all the way. We came here to Garissa University in July, and we spent 5 nights on the same beds where the students were killed as a defiance to the terrorists.
And although the government has constructed a police post inside the institution and placed 15 administration police officers here, a section of the university staff have vowed not to return here. The institution's former dean of students, Jackton Kwea Opande, has resigned citing security concerns, while the secretary of the University Academic Staff Union, Garissa chapter, Walter Kodipo, told KTN News that security concerns raised by the university staff in a letter dated July 25th had not yet been addressed, and that members of the union are still at liberty not to report back at the institution.
We will make sure that there is adequate personnel to man and to guarantee the security of students, the community, the teaching staff, and this town and county.
The return to Garissa remains optional for students who had already transferred to Moi University main campus, though most of them that KTN News spoke to said they were unwilling to return to Garissa, as others lamented that they have not yet received adequate counseling since the horrific attack.
Not willing, we are not prepared to cede an inch of Kenya to criminals or terrorists. We will defend every inch of Kenyan soil.
Should the government live up to its promise of boosting security around the institution, then the resumption of normal operations here may just be the greatest stride in the country's fight against terror. Muremi Mwangi, KTN News, Nairobi.
You're watching KTN Prime, and thanks for staying with us. Let's move away from education matters a bit, shall we, and take a look at what's happening in the political world. We start with an overview of the 2016 political agenda here in the country. What are some of the big stories that are expected to be coming out of the political circles? First, we'll begin in the first quarter of 2016, that is in March, when all the Jubilee coalition political parties, the affiliate political parties, are set to dissolve and join or form one party, that is the Jubilee Party. It has been talked about, and they are set to field a candidate in the March 7th by-elections. That is set to be an acid test for them. There has been a lot of talk of that party being able to set the agenda or transform the political scene here in the country. We shall wait to see how that turns out. And that brings us to March 7th, 2016. That is when there is set to be the Kericho senatorial by-election. That is after the former Senator Charles Keter was appointed to the cabinet by President Uhuru Kenyatta, and of course Malindi parliamentary by-election following Dan Kazungu's appointment to the cabinet. That is when the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IBC, is set to hold those two mini polls. That is March 7th, 2016. As I told you earlier, Kericho is big for the Jubilee Party, the yet to be formed Jubilee Party. It's said to be an acid test for that particular party. We have seen the governor of Bomet, Isaac Ruto, and the deputy president William Ruto's political rivalry moving a notch higher, with Isaac Ruto continuing to popularize his Mashinani Development Party of Kenya, MDPK. He is saying that he will be fielding a candidate in the Kericho senatorial by-election. Now, after that, of course, it is less than 20 months to the 2017 general election. There is political analysts are expecting political realignments ahead of that much anticipated 2017 general election. There has been talk of the CORD coalition. Will it follow suit and fold and form one political party? There is talk of Musalia Mudavadi's Amani National Coalition, that is ANC. What will be happening? Another thing that is said to make headlines this year is the Kenyan case at the International Criminal Court, where the Jubilee Coalition has vowed to make it its top agenda in this year 2016 to make sure that case against Deputy President William Ruto and radio journalist Joshua Arap Sang is thrown out. We shall be taking a look at these main stories and more 20 months into to go to the 2017 general election. And you're watching KTN Prime. Many thanks for staying with us. Back to education. On the big question tonight, we are asking you, should school heads who are flouting the school fees regulations or guidelines be fired? Tell us what you think. SMS your yes or no opinion to 22155. You can join that conversation on Twitter at Ben_Kitili, at KTN News, and at KTN Kenya. We'll take a quick break. Don't go too far. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to the program. This is KTN Prime. The Amani National Congress, ANC, has asked the leadership of the ruling Jubilee Alliance and the opposition CORD to stop spreading dirty propaganda about the party. ANC Secretary General Godfrey Osotsi says its party leader Musalia Mudavadi will contest the presidency in the year 2017 general elections and asked Jubilee and CORD to brace for a tough battle ahead. At the same time, the political rivalry between Deputy President William Ruto and Bomet Governor Isaac Ruto moved a notch higher after the latter launched a campaign to popularize the Mashinani Development Party of Kenya, MDPK. MDPK is expected to field a candidate in the Kericho senatorial by-election on the March 7th mini poll.
The yet-to-be-launched Jubilee Party of Kenya, which President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto plan to use as a vehicle for their re-election and future general elections, is facing opposition from a section of politicians allied to the ruling Jubilee coalition. Bomet Governor has insisted he'll not join the bandwagon and troop to the new outfit.
We are free also to form other parties. We are free to join other parties. You cannot bamboozle us na kulazimisha sisi kuingia kwa chama ambaye hatujui nani aliunda. Na hii chama ni ya nini?
With the Kericho senatorial mini poll set for March 7th, the Bomet governor has launched a campaign to popularize Mashinani Development Party of Kenya and field a candidate to face off with the Jubilee candidate. This move will escalate political rivalry between the governor and deputy president.
Tunabaki wapi? Mashinani. We are in Mashinani to stay. We are ready to work together with other parties, KNC, KANU, any other parties that are willing to defend the rights of the people of Kenya.
Deputy President William Ruto plans to use the Jubilee Party of Kenya in his presidential bid in 2022. That is why the ruling Jubilee administration is keen to collapse all affiliate parties into a single party hierarchy in order to consolidate and retain power in the 2017 polls and future general elections. However, Governor Ruto has accused the Jubilee leadership of taking Kenyans in endless political circles and failing to deliver on election pledges.
Tell us the manifesto first. What do you want to do? And tell us why you refuse to implement the Jubilee manifesto, which was very good. Jubilee manifesto was very good. Even I don't mind the laptops. Why didn't you give the children the laptops? Vijana yangu wamekataa kwenda. In fact, kuna kijana amekaa standard 1 for the last 3 years. Anangojea laptop, amekataa hata mwaka hii. Anasema karibu ifike daddy. Mimi sitaki kwenda standard 2.
And from Nairobi, members of the Amani National Congress, ANC, were also breathing fire over allegations that its membership has defected to Jubilee. ANC Secretary General accused Deputy President William Ruto of playing dirty politics.
The latest information we have from the registrar of political parties is that the Jubilee Party of Kenya is not among the registered parties of this country. They have employed tactics used in the past by the YK92, and it's no surprise that the Deputy President, who is the only remaining senior member of the YK92 operative, still in high government office, was the one executing that tired trick of buying supporters. Ladies and gentlemen,
ANC also asked the opposition code to stop spreading dirty propaganda on its party leader Musalia Mudavadi. They dismissed code's claims that Musalia Mudavadi was a Jubilee mole.
ANC is not seeking to remove Raila Odinga from power, but ANC is seeking to remove Uhuru Kenyatta from power in 2017.
We are not, as far as at this moment and time, associated with any political party, be it Jubilee, be it CORD. We are stand alone.
2016 promises to witness heightened political activities as parties strategize to outmaneuver each other for the crucial vote that will enable them to form the next government. Patrick Amimo, KTN News.
So both Mashinani Party and the yet-to-be-formed Jubilee Party said to field candidates in the March 7th senatorial by-election in Kericho. Breasts are a prized body part for all women, and having to undergo its removal due to breast cancer is an unimaginable thought for many. Yet this is the reality that many women are faced with when they are diagnosed with this type of cancer, especially in its latter stages. Now, KTN's Carol Nderi now reports one woman from the county of Kirinyaga who resides abroad has made it her responsibility to give some hope to women.
Losing a breast for any woman is a daunting experience that many would not wish to go through, but that is the startling reality for a majority of women who are diagnosed with breast cancer, especially in its late stages where a breast or both cannot be saved. Though the necessary procedure might save one's life, the woman often has to bear the brunt of carrying emotional scars.
Ni uzuri wa mama ni kusimama mbele ya mtu awe amesimama wima, lakini saa zingine ukipasuliwa titi unatolewa titi moja unaenda side.
Kufurahisha mzee. Tena mwanamke akiwa na matiti anaonekana ako nini smart.
Tunaona mwanamke ako na matiti, she looks more presentable.
I love the man. Ukiona bibi yako amekatwa, the best thing to do is to encourage her and to be there for her, not to go because moja imeenda. No, you should appreciate na ujue akiwa na zote mbili, she was still your wife.
You should have just accept yourself for who you are.
Those are the sentiments we've heard from the ladies we've spoken to. They do indeed value their assets, but they are quick to say that it is important for one to have regular checkups, and in the event that one is diagnosed with breast cancer, then acceptance is a key ingredient for one to achieve healing and, of course, the subsequent treatments. Elizabeth Njeri, a resident of Nyeri County, lost her breast to cancer in 2009. She almost got into a depression when some of her loved ones alienated her, but she overcame it and founded the Slopes Cancer Awareness Network. She says professional processes that can improve the look of a woman who has lost her mammary glands is too expensive.
They introduced me to the prosthesis, which is an artificial breast, and it is very costly. In Nairobi itself, we usually buy that thing at between 18,000 and 28,000. If you are going to Woolworth or you are going to Aga Khan or Mpusha, they have them, but they are very expensive.
Mercy Mbitao, who hails from Kirinyaga County but lives in Switzerland, finds reprieve for the women who have lost their breasts in Kenya. Mercy's sister Monica had breast cancer and she had to export the prosthesis to Kenya for her sister, as it was difficult to find them in Kenya, and if one did, then the price was prohibitive. Because of that, she resorted to assisting other women. Since 2009, she has been bringing them to Kenya with the assistance of friends and well-wishers under the Mercy Steps Cancer program.
We've donated about how many? Let's say 600 to 800 pieces in the Mount Kenya region. It's around 400 Swiss francs. Swiss francs. That's around 9,500.
Sadly, her sister died last year.
And we wanted to say thank you to the people of Kiburo and especially to the woman who made us start the Massive Steps Cancer Program.
Elizabeth Njeri cries for the many Kenyans ailing from cancer. As a survivor, she feels that enough is not being done in the country.
Line ile kwa Kenyatta siku hizi imefika ya radio, imefika 2016, it is fully booked unless you go to Aga Khan. So we are asking the government, walisema wanatengeneza the level 5s hospitals. Wakasema kuna wamepeana siku ya ile tulikuwa kwa mkutano wa 9th ile ya mama wa president ile Madam Kenyatta alikuwako Margaret. Walisema 4 hospitals will be appraised to have a cancer center. Can they tell us what they are doing? Na wafanye speed because of cancer hailali, cancer haigojei.
Phyllis Washira from Kirinyaga County is also a breast cancer survivor, but with the prosthesis, life is somewhat easier.
Nina katonyondo, nina hapana stress nyingi, nina kujua hiyo mama.
Nimefurahi sana kwa sababu nilikuwa nahitajika kwenda kununua hiyo kitu yake, lakini hapa ninaona hii ni material mzuri kuliko ile mimi nanunua.
Carol Derry, KTN News, Kirinyaga County.
We'll take a quick break, but before we go, a reminder of our big question tonight. The debate continues over the allegedly unlawful way in which most school heads have decided to bloat their school fees structures. We are asking you, should school heads who are flouting fees guidelines be jailed or be fired? And Solomon Ambuku says fired, jailed. Just jail 2 or 3 school heads as per the Education Act and see their cockiness evaporate. And J7 says it solves nothing. The government should pay full fees or do away with the fees and reduce taxes. Isaac Momanyi says yes, but what the government is not stating is the exact amount. That is what many Kenyans do not know. They cannot access the gazettes. And Sylvester Aura says for many years the government has been giving these directives but does not enforce them. A barking dog hardly bites. Finally, Amos Kitui says, Cyprian Otieno rather says all these are caused by the government's failure in providing sufficient funds to help in managing the free education program. Many thanks for sending the SMSs and the tweets. The number 22155, Twitter handle at Ben_Kitili, at KTN News and at KTN Kenya. We'll take a quick break, after which we shall be taking a look at what's happening in business. Stay with us. Welcome to KTN Business. Now, investors at the Nairobi Securities Exchange will be hoping for a better year, 2016, after a bearish run in 2015. Cumulatively, investors lost close to 263 billion shillings in value as most listed firms saw share prices dip. Home Africa capped off a dismal year for stocks, becoming the 17th listed firm to issue a profit warning. As investors look ahead to better fortunes in 2016, KTN's Michael Karanja takes a look at the year that was and which stocks could hold promise in the new year.
"2015 was characterized by a bearish run at the stock market, with only 12 listed firms closing out the year with a stronger share price compared to 2014. Agricultural firm Kakuzi was the biggest gainer during 2015, with its share price up 76%, from 180 shillings in 2014, closing out 2015 at 317 shillings per share. It underlined the strong performance of agricultural stocks, with all but eagles finishing on a stronger position. The bear run brought with it a stunning increase of 1.44 trillion shillings in market capitalization at the bourse, closing out the year 2.5 trillion shillings. The market was characterized by foreign investor exits. The NSE 20 share index was down 20.9%, closing out the year at 4,040.75 points against 2014's close of 5,112.65 points. The biggest loser during the year was logistics firm Atlas Development, which is also cross-listed on the London Stock Exchange. The counter shed 82.57% from 12 shillings and 5 cents in 2014 to 2 shillings and 10 cents. Rounding off the top 3 losing counters were TransCentury, which was down 57.3% to 8 shillings and 25 cents, and Britam down 56.3%, closing the year at 13 shillings. The banking segment recorded the largest capitalization decline for the year at 216 billion shillings, followed by manufacturing down 51 billion shillings, while the insurance sector shed a total of 43 billion shillings. Among the firms to issue profit warnings are Standard Chartered Bank, Mumias Sugar, Uchumi Supermarkets, Standard Group, and TPS East and Africa. Other firms to issue profit warnings include Home Africa, Britam, ARM Cement, East African Cables, BOC Gases, Kayan General, Samia Africa, Crown Baja, Express Kenya, and Atlas Development. Michael Karanja, KTN Business.
Kenyans could be staring at another round of interest rate hikes as the country's debt maturities mount to new highs and revenue targets elude the tax month. This comes even as consumers continue to pay rates as high as 27% on their loans, despite both the National Treasury and the Central Bank of Kenya assuring borrowers of a winding down in rates more than 2 months ago. With a significant portion of government debt due for repayment in the third and fourth quarters of the 2015-2016 financial year, there has been concerns of the possibility of the government ramping up the domestic borrowing, crowding out the private sector. In addition to this, the fact that majority of this debt is short-term, the government has a delicate balancing act in paying and refinancing its debt. In December alone, the total government debt maturities stood at 58 billion shillings and an additional 9 billion shillings dollar-denominated Eurobond interest payment, bringing total debt due in December to 67 billion shillings. With the Kenya Revenue Authority hard-pressed to meet its revenue collection targets, the CBK maintaining a tight money policy.
Also ensuring that they still contain interest rate to a better within the target, just to conducive for economic growth. And if you look at it, a lot of maturity coming in, and again most of this money that were just borrowed from the the third quarter and fourth quarter of the 2015. So these are going to put pressure on the government in terms of again funding the obligation and again refinancing the obligation. So there might be a lot of volatility, especially in the beginning of quarter one.
With the KRM keen to maintain that delicate balance, the interest rates are set to go high. Now, KCB Group has obtained all regulatory approvals to transfer its banking business to its wholly owned subsidiary, KCB Bank Kenya Limited, a new entity created under a new holding company structure. Following approvals received from the Central Bank of Kenya, the Capital Markets Authority, and the National Treasury, Kenya Commercial Bank Limited is now registered as a non-operating holding company, and the newly incorporated KCB Bank Kenya Limited started operations as a licensed banking institution with effect from January 1st, 2016. Kenya Commercial Bank Limited will now oversee KCB Kenya and regional units. The vehicle will also house KCB Insurance Agency, KCB Capital, KCB Foundation, and all the group's associate companies. The bank expects the new structure will increase efficiency in access to and allocation of capital, while enabling the equity markets to place appropriate value on the group's business separate from the current banking operations. The reorganization will, however, not result in any change in this ownership structure of the holding company. I&M Bank and Housing Finance are among listed firms to transfer operations to a non-operating holding company. Equity Bank has also announced plans to set up a non-bank financial institution to own its subsidiaries. That's KTN Business. Welcome back. And in sports, Boxing Association of Kenya, BAK, has started its road to this year's Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil at the earliest, and will pick its national team during the national trials to be held in Mombasa later this month. Association President John Kameta, speaking from Mombasa, said 10 men and 4 female boxers will be picked during the trials at the Mombasa Modern Fitness Boxing Lounge from the January 21st to 23rd. Kenya Police, the Kenya Defence Forces and prison boxers are expected to dominate the Mombasa selection. Kameta said Kenya will be fully represented at the IBA African Continental Olympic Qualifying Championships in Yaoundé, Cameroon. In the last Olympic Games, Kenya was represented by only one male boxer, Benson Gisharu, and one lady, Elizabeth Adiego, who were both eliminated in the first round.
Full team, 10 boxers, 10 male boxers, all the weight categories, and minimum of 4 female boxers. Yes. But you know, this is a sport. We must, you know, we must up our game and to make sure that we qualify minimum 4 boxers. Yeah. It is an AIBA regulation, it's an AIBA rule that those boxers will qualify from their national federation, automatic qualify to the national team.
Over 70 players took part in a draw tournament in Kakamega over the weekend. Edward Barasa from Lubino Club amassed 51 goals, 25 points to beat a field of 70 players and clinched the inaugural Wameo Draw Championship title. Bernard Olunga came second with 49 goals, 25 points, and Francis Oduor was third after garnering 39 goals, 24 points. The two-day tournament held at Shianda Market, Kakamega County attracted clubs from Shibinga, Lubino, Shianda, Makunga, Malaha, Buhuri and Maraba. The tournament was aimed at uniting and bringing people together.
Asanteni heshima Hilary Wamele ndiye atakayefanya hii honor ya kumpa Edward Baraza hiyo certificate. Yes sir! Makofi bwana, makofi! Anapata na posho yake jamani hiyo.
Hili ni bao na ni kama mchezo wote vile, kama vile chess, kama vile ajua, kama vile basketball, kama vile soka. Bora tupate wachezaji na tuwapatie motisha ya kucheza mchezo. Angalau tujumuishe kila mtu waje pamoja, alafu pia onekane kwamba mchezo unatamba kila sehemu. Na Mwenyezi Mungu akijalia pia ninawaza kwamba mchezo tutaukuza nchi nzima, manake kama
that is draft as a sport. Now the Dakar Rally organizers cancelled stage 1 on the event on Sunday because of bad weather that meant helicopters could not fly. Rain also turned parts of the route into torrents of water. Competitors still proceeded from Rosario to Villa Carlos Paz in Argentina, ready for stage 2. Rescue helicopters were used in Saturday's prologue when a crash injured spectators, several of them seriously. The fans were hit by the Mini, driven by China's Guo Meiling, who also received medical attention at the scene. She is the first female Chinese driver to enter the Dakar Rally.
The Big Q, in association with DSTV. Get a DSTV HD fully installed decoder for only 5,550 shillings.
So today was the first day in school at the opening of the schools for the first term of school in 2016, and there has been the debate of head teachers or school heads allegedly adding or increasing the school fees and messing around with the fee structures. On the big question tonight, we asked you, should school heads who are flouting fees guidelines be fired? A lot of SMSs and tweets on this, and Brown Sayo says the government knew this was going to happen. Why now, when schools are opening? They were supposed to act a long time ago. Green Rashid 100 says on Twitter, no, because every school has its own budget and agenda, hence different school fees guidelines. Abirazak Gash says Ministry of Education is not in touch with head teachers. They're just coming up with directives through roadside declaration. And Abdul Burj says yes, they should be sacked. They are employed by the government. You cannot run public schools as if they are private. Stop the impunity. Mark John Sars says on Twitter, school principals are being part of the public loot. They are just small fish. And Robert Brett says that will never happen in this country. Maskini ndio wanaumia, sio hawa walimu wakuu na matajiri wenzao. Sir George on Twitter says that by the government is an exercise in futility. Fees is reached upon by the board, not the head teacher, and by the end of third term. And Mills Yusuf says no, they should not be fired. They should be prosecuted That is first-class corruption.
Drop the rest, get the best. This festive season, buy a DSTV HD fully installed decoder for 5,500 shillings to enjoy the best quality family entertainment with various packages to suit your needs from as low as 1,050 shillings.
School fees structure debate, one that is said to be here with us seemingly for a while. Many thanks for participating in our big question discussion and in joining us in your most qualified news bulletin in town, KTN Prime. My name is Ben Kitili. Good night from the KTN News Center.